Proverbs 31 Boss podcast. I'm your host, coming to you each and every week, Tiana Blyden. For those of you who are just watching for the first time, I am a wife of 13 years, a mom of four beautiful children. I'm a minister of the gospel. I'm pursuing my doctorate degree in biblical exposition, and I am the CEO of the Proverbs 31 Boss Academy. And today I am coming to you live to share my podcast with you and just give you a little tip. Okay. So, here on this podcast, you can like and subscribe because this is where you can learn practical leadership and elevation skills for your company so that you can grow your business with sound biblical principles. So, today, I wanted to start this podcast off with a quote. I love to read books, guys. You see, there's a whole lot of books around me. On the other side over here, there are a bunch of books and Bible studies that I do. I'm always reading. I read 4 books a month. I've been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years. As a matter of fact, I just launched my book club where I'm going to be sharing some books because people always ask me what I'm reading. What am I reading? What Bible studies I am doing. So I get to share those things with you guys there. So make sure you like and subscribe and go to the link in my bio so that you can see how you can get access to those things. But let me start with a book by John Maxwell, or a quote by John Maxwell, if you will. It says, there are 4 seasons of change. People change when they hurt enough that they have to, when they see enough that they're inspired to, when they learn enough that they want to, and when they receive enough that they are able to. Let's really unpack this and break this down as I get prepared to give you some sound biblical doctrine to back this up. It says people change when they hurt enough that they have to, when they're out of season, when they have become too big for an environment or a situation, then they make a change. This can happen with a job. This can happen with living in a certain city. This can happen with hanging around a certain crowd or being in a certain sphere of influence, and God is shifting you somewhere else, right? When they see enough that they're inspired to. This is where those people that God puts in your life that are the ones that are showing you that it can be done. Bishop Jake says a quote that I often requote over and over and over, and it says, you cannot be what you do not see. And so when you see other people doing something that you want to do, you are inspired. At one point in time, being a millionaire was like beyond my wildest dreams. But now that I'm surrounded by millionaires, I can see it. I'm inspired to even become that, right? And so this is something that helps you to grow. The next thing is when they learn enough that they want to. This is what I mean by book clubs. This is what I mean by reading books and watching YouTube videos and going to church and meditating on the word and allowing God to change your mindset, because what you believe is possible will even change as you expand your mind. You will see new possibilities. You will see new avenues. This is what happens when you get into a space where you allow God to move how he wants to move in your life. And so you're inspired because you're exposed not just to people, but to different ideas. You may have thought that you only could become a 6-figure person because that's all you've ever been exposed to. But when you start to read books and when you start to dive into these books and you start to see people who started like you started, who came from a family like yours, who started with the same amount of skills that you have, but when they connected to the right people and the right information, they begin to expand, their capacity begin to increase. Then it inspires you to do the same. And the last thing is when they receive enough that they are able to. And this kind of speaks to the point in which people are encouraged. This is something that I like to do in my book club and any type of club that I've had, an inner circle, a discipleship program. My book club is just an extension of a discipleship program that goes beyond 12 women. But what happens in these clubs, When I get around women, they come to know who they are, not just because of how I am stepping and how I am moving, but I am encouraging them to figure out who they are, to seek the Lord about who they are. And once they discovered it, I believe for them. They can borrow my belief until they believe enough for themselves. And so this is what happens when you're surrounded with the right people. Why am I talking about this today? Because for this podcast episode today, I'm going to take you into lesson 1 of my new Proverbs 31 experience, a Bible study that I wrote and created in partnership with the Holy Spirit. And this Bible study is available now, guys. But I wanted to share something from the first lesson, and I'm going to read to you a couple of things. This is unit 1 on wise counsel. The Proverbs 31 woman was a wise woman, and she was surrounded with wise counsel. You cannot be surrounded with wise counsel if you are not a wise woman, because a fool hangs out with fools. Okay. And so sometimes when you're getting ready to move up, when God is elevating you, he will begin to elevate your circle so that you no longer do things the way you used to do at that lower level. That doesn't mean that that lower level is bad, but that means, daughter, if you're going to come up a little bit, you're going to have to come up in your relationships as well. The air is different on this level, okay? The oxygen is different on this level. What is acceptable is different on this level, okay? And so let's go get into this. Unit 1 is on wise counsel, and I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to share some nuggets with you for a few minutes. In a world filled with complex decisions and diverse challenges, the need for women to be wise and to surround themselves with wise counsel is paramount. Wisdom is not just a valuable trait, it's a guiding force that empowers women to make sound judgments, navigates life intricacies, and achieve personal and professional fulfillment. To be wise means having the ability to discern, evaluate, and choose the best course of action in any given situation. This wisdom also requires the counsel of others who bring unique perspectives, experiences, and insights. Wise counsel comes in various forms. First, there is the wisdom gained from elders and mentors who have traversed life's journey and accumulated valuable lessons along the way. Their wisdom is rooted in their experiences, and they offer invaluable guidance in making informed decisions. The second is your peers and your friends, and I'm going to give you some different names of these in a second. They can provide a different kind of wise counsel. They often share similar life stages, and their support, encouragement, and shared experiences can be a wellspring of wisdom, fostering a sense of community and mutual learning. And then thirdly, there are people who you hold yourself to a certain standard because they are looking up to you. They are looking up to you. And so oftentimes before we can show up for other people, before we can show up for ourselves, we can show up for other people. Women are often like that. We can show up for our husbands, our kids, our clients, the people that are dependent on us, but it's difficult for us to show up for ourselves. So a lot of times we take that role of mothering and showing up for other people, and then we in turn learn to use that same tenacity and diligence to show up for ourselves. So let me tell you about the different kinds of wise counsel. And in the first lesson, I teach the women how to think about this, how to dissect it, because it is healthy to have these 3 levels of people in your life. The first level are the honorees. The honorees, these are the elders and the mentors that God has placed in your path to mentor you, to help you get to the next level, to show you what is possible, but also to hold you accountable. And most people, the reason why they get these people confused is because when they see the human side of these people, they begin to treat them common and become too familiar with these honorees. Remember, guys, that the honorees are not your friends. They are people that God has used to open up the door, to show you what is possible so that you can walk through. And so no matter what you see, you keep them in prayer, but you keep following their lead, okay? And until God tells you not to, okay? And so what you do with these honorees is that you do not become too familiar. You keep them in prayer and you see them as such. They are not your friends. They are door openers for you. Door openers for you. Specifically assigned to show you things, to reveal things to you, to reveal to you who you are and help you to walk in that with the right integrity, giving you capacity, giving you tools, and also giving you correction. These are your honorees. Now, I also want you to know that you can never receive on a level that you dishonor. So as long as you honor these people, you can receive from them. But the moment you become judgmental, the moment that you become untrustworthy, the moment that you become too familiar or even speak negatively about them, you have disrupted the relationship and you could cause it to come to an end, making the path that you have to go on a little bit more difficult because you have become too familiar. Remember, they are human, but they have something spiritually to give you and practically to give you to help you on your journey. So in this study, I help you to identify your honorees. The next group of people are your peers, and I call them your iron. The iron sharpening iron. These are the people who can see the sides of you that everybody does not see. And they will hold you accountable in private, but they will defend you in public. This is so, so important because these are the people in your life that God has given you to walk with you. And if you're lucky, you're only going to have a few of these people in your life. You really are just going to have a few of these people, and they're going to be people that can see the worst, the ugliest side of you and still love you, and they can see the best side of you and still celebrate you. But one thing that they do that separates them from others is they are not your fans. They love you. They want to see you do better. You hold them accountable accordingly, and they hold you accountable accordingly. But what happens with these people is that they hold you accountable to who you say you are and hold you accountable to that integrity. They will privately rebuke you and they will publicly celebrate you. That is important for you to know about your iron. These are not yes men. These are not people that look up to you. As a matter of fact, the biggest challenge that people have is letting people who are supposed to honor them become their peers. I have taken this test so many times. I got the t-shirt. Okay. So when somebody comes into my space and they honor me and they want to get things from me, I'm just so open and friendly. I hadn't gotten this lesson yet, that when they start coming around me, they start to become familiar. And I've let them believe that they are a friend, a peer, when they really are somebody who honors me. And I'm supposed to open certain doors for them. You understand? And when you flip the two, when you misconstrue the two, it keeps you it blurs the lines in a relationship, and the relationship could come to an end prematurely because you have blurred the lines. And so as the leader, as the boss, as the CEO, understand who people are in your space and your life period, so you can understand how to properly place them and how to properly handle them so that the God can get the glory out of the relationship. Okay. Then the last group of people are those who honor you. These are the people who pray for you. These are the people who might fast for you. These are the people that might serve you. This might be your assistant. These are some subordinates, people that God has given you to help you carry the assignment, right? To help you carry the business, to help you carry out the project. They are not your friends, and they are not people who are supposed to have a significant amount of influence on how you make decisions, okay? And so this is really important for us to separate these groups of people. A wise woman is surrounded with wise counsel. She has all of these three people, but she has enough wisdom to know who is who in her business, in her neighborhood, in her family, in her personal space, guys. So I want to thank you guys so much for allowing me to share. And I started with the change because you have to have, nobody accidentally becomes a Proverbs 31 woman on their own. Nobody accidentally becomes a millionaire. Nobody accidentally becomes a man or woman of great character. There are people around you that mold you, that shape you, that challenge you, that encourage you by looking up to you to become that person. So a wise woman has wise counsel around her. So I thank you guys for allowing me to share here. Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. And if you are intrigued at all, you can pre-order my Proverbs 31 Boss Experience book. It comes along with a 4-part video series and a leadership guide, and it is coming to you. You already missed the pilot, y'all, but it is coming to you in December, okay? And late December, early January, it is going to be released. So you guys are going to be able to start the year off understanding what a Proverbs 31 woman is and how you can become her in a practical way. I thank y'all for getting on this podcast, and I will see you next time on the Proverbs 31 Boss Podcast.